Welcome to Science on Wednesday, March 25th. Hope your day is going well and you're enjoying this new experience of homeschooling. So today for Science, we are going to pretty much review everything we talked about yesterday because I did get a little excited and jumped on into the different shapes of a fish. And so we'll review that, but then today I'm going to elaborate on that and we'll discuss how those shapes affect their movement. So for our objectives, and I left this on the board last night, so it's very convenient to already have it up here. Our objectives are to list the 3 types of fish, the characteristics of a fish, location and use of the fins of a fish, and their 4 body shapes. And then we're gonna talk about how that affects their movement. So before we get started, again, we like to always, how does science, how do we see God in our science? And obviously we just looking out my window right now and seeing a bird in the tree. You know, that's God's creation, and the science is the study of that. And so that's what we're doing. We're studying the ocean and God's amazing creativity with that. And specifically, the verse that I chose while we were first studying fish is actually one that y'all will do in your science journal. But Mark 1:17, "Come follow me," Jesus said, "and I will make you fishers of men." What do you think Jesus meant by this? And I've gone over that the last couple of days, so maybe you can answer for me. I'm gonna give you just a moment, short moment. You can pause the video if you need to. But then I'm gonna, obviously, fishers of men is you're going out and you are trying to lead others to Christ, is a way of saying that in a way that the people in those days, they could apply it to something that they were very familiar with, which was going out and fishing every day. And so how are we going to do that now when we are stuck in our homes? Well, just like I am doing right now with a video or FaceTime, or you still continue to reach out to your family members and to those that just need to have an encouraging word. Draw pictures, try to make someone's day in some way, and so that you can be leading them in the direction of Christ. All right, so let's go on with our review. I'm getting a tripod sent in from Amazon. Hopefully it'll be here tomorrow, so I don't have to move this big box every time. Let's see, can we see all of it? I think so. All right, so our 3 types of fish are bony, cartilaginous, and jawless. And for chapter 6, we are specifically studying the bony fish. And I wish I had my pointer, but now all I have is this. So the characteristics of a fish specifically. Yes, fish have scales, but so do other things. Yes, they lay eggs, but so do turtles, and they have a definite shape, which we can all we visualize in our head. But again, think of the seahorse. It has a very different shape, but it is also a fish. So we can't really rely on those characteristics to define what a fish is. So a definite definition or characteristic is they have to have fins for swimming in order to be considered a fish. And we'll go over our fins here in a minute. And they have to have gills for breathing. And we talked about that yesterday, how when they open their mouth and the water comes through, it exits through the gills on the side of the face, or of their face. But in that process, it pulls oxygen out of the water, the gills do, and then they also release carbon dioxide back into the water. And then the water goes and exits back out. It's a pretty cool process. Just like we do. We breathe in oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide. So our fins, and again, I'm very proud of my fish, so I'm glad I left it up. We have our dorsal fins up top, and I need you to be working on studying this, okay? Just know that that's going to be coming. I'm going to expect you to be able to do that. It has 2 functions. Remember, it keeps it from just flopping over on its side, and it also is used for protection or as a defense. And when we take it off the fish hook, we have to slide our hand down it to lay those fins down so they don't stab us and hurt us. And it does hurt. When I was a little girl, it did happen to me. And then we have our caudal fin back here. It's kind of like the rotor. What propels the fish to go forward. We have our pectoral and pelvic fins, which they are in pairs. There's one on each side of the fish. They actually help with the direction of the fish. Which direction do they want to go in? And also the anal fin also helps to keep the dorsal, fin keep the fish upright. Okay? Now, remember, Miss Harrison's learning this along with you, so I have to sometimes review back to my notes. So that's our fins. And then we were talking about 4 shapes yesterday of the fish. I'm going to get this over so we don't have the glare. That's so much better. Okay, so we have the fusiform, which is like the shark, and that's like, you know, when you've seen a bullet and it's kind of rounded on the end. Well, the shark is rounded on both ends, and that's what allows it to swim so fast. So that is the function of that shape, is for speed, okay? And those sharks are very fast, right? And then we have the eel-like, which is a ribbon-shaped fish, and oddly enough, the eel is an example of that. But what that allows is them to be able to hide in crevices in the rock, and to be able to leap, kind of just dart out real quick for their prey, to be able to catch their prey. But it helps them to hide, so that's the benefit of that shape. The depressed is usually those fish that lay on the bottom of the ocean floor or wherever it is they happen to live. And what it does is has both eyes on one side. The side that, okay, so if I have a flat fish that's laying on one side, I have 2 eyes up here that are looking up. So that allows them to see what's going on above them. And then also some of them, from what I understand, have eyes on the top of their head. So that's that would be like your flounder, and there's a picture in your science book of that. They're pretty cool looking, and they are usually kind of camouflaged so that their predators don't see them, and then they can also hide from their prey. And then we have the compressed, which is probably the one that we're most familiar with, and they have an eye on each side of the head, and that is like our angelfish. But what they're able to do is they're able to see on both sides of them for predators, for prey, whichever that they happen to be looking at. Let me double check that they hit that. Okay, so my last question to you, make sure you can answer, what are the 4 shapes of a fish and their function of that shape? All right, so again, I will write all this out on a review sheet to help you study for when we do the test. But and I gotta figure out what that's gonna look like. Anyway, okay, so we're at 8 minutes, so I need to move on. But that is the main thing for today, and we will start working in our journals, so start looking at those. I do have a copy of the 4th grade journal, but I don't the 3rd grade, so I'm not exactly sure. But y'all have done this before, and moms and dads can kind of help guide you through that journal. So next week I'm going to assign the science journal. So if you want to get started on it and you have time, then go for it. Make sure you're studying, and hopefully you've written all this down on a piece of paper also. Anyway, have a good day.